A not-so-merry day-after-Christmas gift for Longhorn fans. Trey Wisner is reportedly entering the transfer portal. What does his loss mean for the future of the running back position at Texas? We'll dive in on Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are Locked On at the Texas Longhorns, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, BK, Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you, everydayers, for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. Please remember to like, subscribe, and as always, the fastest way to help us grow is by leaving a comment. So thank you sincerely for that. Some stunning day after Christmas news. Texas running back Tre Wisner, the Longhorns' leading rusher in both 2024 and 2025, is reportedly entering the transfer portal when it opens up next week on January 2nd. The Sooner Slayer, the Aggie Assassin, the Rival Reaper, whatever you want to call it, Tre Wisner has been a huge part of the Longhorn success these past two seasons. 1,000-yard rusher in 2024, and again, took a bit of a step back here in 2025, only 597 yards for the 25 season, but was the Longhorns' leading tailback again this season. Wisner becomes the fourth Texas running back to hit the portal since the conclusion of the regular season. I guess I should say this season because Jarrett Gibson entered in the middle of the year. But C.J. Baxter, Jarrett Gibson, Ricky Stewart, and now Tre Wisner all leaving. So the Longhorn running back room going to look vastly different in 2026, and it's going to look vastly different 6 days from now when the Longhorns take the field in Orlando in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. As of now, it's Christian Clark, James Simon, and Michael Terry III. That is your scholarship running back room for the Texas Longhorns. You've got a combined 64 career rushing attempts between those three, 35 for Christian Clark, 29 for James Simon, and Michael Terry the third, of course, the true freshman who was recruited as a wide receiver, still listed as a wide receiver on the Texas roster, has been getting run at running back for the last few weeks. But that is your running back room for Texas and Michigan just 6 days from now. This one a bit of a shocker. You know, Tre Wisner, we had heard reports, and we have talked about it on this channel, that he was considering declaring for the NFL draft. Obviously draft eligible, just finishing up his third season of college football. So there was some talk about Wisner departing the Texas football program, but there wasn't a lot of scuttlebutt about Tre Wisner leaving via the portal, and ultimately that's what's going to happen. Look, we've talked about it. I think every Texas fan has talked about it. The Longhorns are in the market for an upgrade at running back, and the hope was, at least for me, was that Texas was going to bring in a big fish running back to pair with Tre Wisner, and you had that really good 1-2 punch. Obviously, I'm looking at things from a Texas fan standpoint. Tre Wisner's looking at things from a himself standpoint. It doesn't sound like he wanted to be a part of a situation where the Longhorns were going to look for an upgrade at running back. I mean, he's got 1 year left of college eligibility. He wants to play in the NFL. He wants to make sure he's in a situation to where he can showcase his abilities as a true #1 running back. And despite, again, leading the Longhorns in rushing in each of these last two seasons, it's pretty clear that Texas is in the market to upgrade at that position. I think Tre Wisner probably saw the writing on the wall that he wasn't the clear-cut #1 guy for the Longhorns if he returned in 2026. And, of course, you think NIL is a part of this too. Tre Wisner's had enough success. Even with a down year in 2025, he's done enough in the SEC these past two seasons to where he is going to be a hot commodity on the open market. So I'm sure he and his agent have been taking some calls and texts from some interested parties around the country, and you know that interest is going to rise now even more because of this morning's news. But I'll tell you what, from a Texas standpoint, look, #1, Tre Wisner will be missed. Did a lot of really good things at the University of Texas, and again, especially in those rivalry games. I mean, Tre Wisner brought his best for the biggest games as a Texas Longhorn, and I say it all the time. When you play any sport, but especially football at the University of Texas, your legacy is partially determined by what you do against Oklahoma and A&M. And Tre Wisner in these last 2 years absolutely delivered. in all 4 of those matchups against those 2 teams. You look at what he did in College Station last year, that legendary 186-yard performance on 33 carries. He was great. Obviously, this year against Texas A&M as well in the regular season finale on Black Friday, 19 carries for 155 yards. And then these past 2 years against Oklahoma. Obviously, this season up in Dallas, the Longhorns' huge win over the Sooners, 22 carries, 94 yards, also 34 receiving yards as well. And then last year against OU, 118-yard performance for Tre Wisner. He was a fan favorite. He was a locker room favorite. He was a coaching staff favorite. Every time you heard anybody in that Texas locker room talk about Tre Wisner, they had nothing but positive things. I mean, incredibly glowing remarks about Tre Wisner for the type of player he was, but also the type of kid and the type of culture guy that he was for the Texas Longhorns. I think that's where Tre Wisner might be missed the most. He was the energy guy. He brought the juice. He was one of the leaders on this young Texas offense this year that was kind of struggling to find leadership throughout the season. Tre Wisner was always the guy who was referred to as the leader and energy bringer in that not only running back room, but really for the entire Texas offense. He did so much for the Longhorns. A great story, a 3-star coming out of DeSoto, in the same class as C.J. Baxter, who was the #1 running back recruit in America coming out of Florida. Tre Wisner, a bit of an afterthought in the recruiting rankings. And I don't think Texas fans expected him to make nearly as much of an impact as he did during his 3 seasons on the 40 acres. I know I didn't. I shouldn't be speaking for all of y'all. So I will be forever grateful for Tre Wisner and his contributions. And again, I was hopeful that he was going to return to Texas for one more season to pair with a really, really talented running back that Texas was going to get out of the portal. Now, boy, if you didn't think running back was a big need before today, I mean, it may be the biggest need. I mean, it's right there with offensive line, and of course linebackers in there too with all the departures the Longhorns have had there. I mean, running back is now a massive need, and it might be running backs, plural, that Texas needs to bring in from the transfer portal. Again, with now 4 losses this offseason, it is crazy. Obviously, you've got Derek Cooper, the 5-star freshman, coming in. You've got Jet Walker, your other signee in the class of 2026. Christian Clark, James Simon, Michael Terry, those dudes will be back. But it is now imperative for Texas to land a big-time running back out of the portal. Of course, Jaden Ball is the name that we've talked about a bunch. Every Longhorn fan is pretty familiar with him and his work at this point. Jaden Ball, obviously, at Florida. To this point, he has not entered the transfer portal. Of course, Texas just hired his former running backs coach, Jabbar Jalouk, to the same post in Austin. So a lot of people trying to connect some dots, and I and so many Longhorn fans hopeful that the Longhorns can get in on the Jaden Ball sweepstakes. He had a meeting with John Summerall, the new head coach at Florida, earlier this week. Still non-committal. Either way, again, the portal doesn't officially open until January 2nd, so we will see what ends up happening with Jaden Ball. But if he does enter, I mean, he is unquestionably the Longhorns' top target, and I feel very confident that if he does decide to leave Florida, he is going to end up on the 40 acres for 2026. So that would go a long way into helping to offset some of these major departures here for Texas. But if it's not Jaden Ball, look, the Texas Longhorns are going to have to find some sort of other impact running back. And again, they might need to bring in 2. This is a team that is all in on 2026. And no disrespect to Christian Clark or James Simon or Michael Terry or the 2 freshmen that the Longhorns will be bringing in. You just don't really know what you have with those guys. I mean, Christian Clark, coming off a torn Achilles this year, didn't show me a whole heck of a lot to give me confidence that he can be a reliable option next season. James Simon, we barely saw him in SEC play this season. Of course, we'll get to see those guys against Michigan in a few days, so we'll learn a little bit more about what they bring to the table. But looking at them, Michael Terry making a position change, and the 2 guys who have never played a lick of college football, you might need to bring in multiple tailbacks out of the portal this offseason just to make sure you feel good about your running game in what will likely be Arch Manning's final season as a Longhorn. Texas had its worst rushing offense since 1944 this year. They made some changes to the coaching staff, and now clearly some personnel changes too. I'm sure Texas could have kept Tre Wisner if they really wanted to. They could have upped the bid. They could have told him that he's the guy, but clearly that was not the case. Wisner looking for other options. So now it's imperative for the Longhorns to bring in some big-time running backs, and they got to clean that position up. So, again, this one a bit out of left field. We've seen a few bits of transfer news a bit out of left field since the Texas A&M game. Last year, the Longhorns had 13 players portal out of the program. Only one of them was a starter, and that was the kicker. Bert Auburn basically lost his job at the end of the year. This year, it's Tre Wisner leaving. It's DeAndre Moore leaving. It's Leon Galafau leaving. It's C.J. Baxter, guys who have played major roles during their Texas careers who are leaving the program. So the hope is Texas can go out there and find upgrades. And, again, running back now at the top of the list for places where Texas needs to get better and find help for next year. We'd love to get your thoughts. Just a quick sort of breaking news reaction to the news, the not-so-merry day after Christmas news for Texas fans. Trey Wisner, the Aggie assassin, the Sooner Slayer, the rival reaper, whatever you want to call him, a definite fan favorite, and a guy who gave a lot to this Texas program and earned everything that he got entering the transfer portal. A bit of a shocker here on a Friday morning. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. If you made it this far, God bless you. Please remember to like, subscribe, rate 5 stars, leave a comment, all of those great things. Can't thank you all enough for your continued support of Locked On Longhorns. We'll talk more this weekend about Texas football, and obviously we'll be back on Monday. More fallout from this news, and next week, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Finally, we've been talking about that game forever. It is right around the corner, so we will deep dive preview as well. But that will do it for today. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns. How about before we go, a quick word for our friends at Dewar. I've talked about my Dewar jeans for months now. I absolutely love them. They are my favorite pair of jeans. Not only my favorite pair of jeans, but my favorite pair of pants. I wear these things everywhere, doing some traveling here this holiday season, and I'm not stressing, and I haven't been stressing, and I won't be stressing about what I'm wearing because I have my Dewar jeans, the most comfortable pair of pants that I own, bar none. They combine the jeans wear style with the comfort and performance that you used to only be able to find in athletic wear. It truly is the best of both worlds. I wear them all of the time, going out, hanging out at home with friends, with family. You need to pick up a pair for yourself. Once you try these on, they will become your go-to pair. You're not going to go back to the other jeans you've been wearing in the past. You can find Dewar at your local Austin REI location or online shopdewar.com/LockedOnLonghorns for 15% off your first order. That's shopDUER.com/LockedOnLonghorns for 15% off your first order.